Have you ever wondered if there was an easier diet to lose your first 20 pounds that didn't require you to eat bland and boring food and count every calorie that you put into your mouth? Well, good news. There is a diet like that, and I've used it to lose 110 pounds and go from looking like this to looking like this. And today I'm going to share it with you because it is the only diet that you need to lose your first 20 pounds ASAP. So really quickly, before I show you exactly what the diet is, let me tell you what not to do. Do not follow an extreme diet like the ketogenic diet, the paleo diet, or the carnivorous diet. These fad and extreme diets are for people who get sudden surges of motivation to lose weight and end up adopting these extreme approaches. Because even if you do follow these diets, you're not going to be able to keep the weight off after losing it. Which is why the diet that I'm about to show you isn't even actually a diet. It's just a bunch of rules put together that make up a diet, but as long as you're following those rules, you can eat whatever you want. Now, this first part of your diet has nothing to do with your diet at all, but if you don't have this dialed in, then you could pretty much adopt the perfect diet and still fail to lose fat. And that first part is accountability. Having somebody keep you honest is by far the biggest cheat code to fat loss, and I've learned this through training other people and having other friends hold me accountable. Because there's people who diet and don't lose weight. There's people who move a lot and still struggle to lose weight. If you've got someone experienced who's consistently checking in on you and making sure that you're doing the right stuff, it's impossible to not lose your first 20 pounds relatively effortlessly. Because a large part of losing your first 20 pounds is not about doing the right stuff, it's about avoiding the wrong stuff. But you don't know what the wrong stuff is yet, which is why it's better to have someone as an accountability partner who's ideally already lost their first 20 pounds. And this is exactly why inside of my Minimalist Fitness program, we do weekly group calls. I was originally just gonna make the Minimalist Fitness program a complete guide on how you can lose fat and get ripped without dedicating your life to fitness. But I realized that without accountability, sticking to any plan is damn near impossible, which is why we've got the weekly group calls. So once we have our accountability down, the next step is to now figure out our calorie goals that we've got to hit pretty much on a daily basis. Now, the simplest way to find out how many calories you need to be eating on a daily basis is to take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by numbers starting from 10 all the way up to 14. Now, why do I give you such a big discrepancy, 10 and 14? Because those are going to be very different calories, right? It could be from 2,000 to 2,800 calories. Why? Well, because the number that you choose to multiply your body weight with all depends on your activity levels. So for example, I would not multiply my body weight by 10 because I play tennis pretty frequently with my friends. I would probably lose too much weight too fast and it would be unhealthy. And I'm going to talk about how much weight you should aim to lose per week in a minute. But right now, what you need to make sure you're doing is if you're very sedentary, right? You're working a desk job, you don't really get to walk a lot and you're just super busy. You might want to multiply your body weight by 10 or maybe 11. 10, I'd be really careful because it can get extra restrictive sometimes. But on the other hand, say you like going out for a run sometimes, you like playing tennis, maybe pickleball, whatever your thing is, then you might want to multiply your body weight with 13 or even 14 because your activity level is higher. Therefore, you can lose weight eating a little bit more food. Just one thing that I want to emphasize really quickly when it comes to counting calories, there's no need to get obsessive when it comes to counting your calories. I've met so many people that are they bring their weighing scales when they go out to eat with them. That's unbelievable. As long as you're roughly accurate when you're tracking your calories, you're gonna be fine. 50 to 100 calories here and there don't really make that big of a difference, especially when it comes to losing your first 20 pounds. So once you've got your calories figured out, the next step to make this diet work is to figure out your protein requirements. So first and foremost, why should we be eating protein if our goal is to lose fat? Our goal isn't to build muscle and get big. So why should we be eating protein? Well, the biggest reason we should be eating protein is because it fills you up. We all know how much it sucks to be hungry when you're trying to lose weight, and this excessive hunger is actually what leads to binge eating. So if you want to avoid that, eat more protein. The second thing that protein really helps us with is it prevents muscle loss. Now, I'm assuming that when you lose weight, you want to look more like this and not like this. Because if you lose weight and don't make any efforts to preserve muscle mass, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up looking like this guy who just looks like he's sick. Now, when it comes to how much protein you should be eating, I know that you've probably heard that you need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but the fact of the matter is that is fairly excessive. Because you can get away with as little as 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. But since we are losing weight, just to be on the safe side, I recommend at least 0.85 grams of protein per pound of body weight on a regular basis. Now, when it comes to getting protein in, I've constantly seen the people that I train and just men in general struggle to get protein in consistently because they can't find protein sources. And so what I recommend for that is finding 2 to 3 protein sources that you genuinely like eating. Now, if you weren't on a diet, which protein sources would you end up eating anyways? For me, it would be chicken breast, ground beef, and Greek yogurt. These three I find don't take a lot of time to prepare, and also I like eating them. So what I do is I take 2 to 3 of these protein sources and I just rotate them. Now, the other thing that's definitely a hack when it comes to getting your protein in, and you probably know about this, is whey protein. Bro, people say that protein is expensive. It is one of, when you look at like the cost per scoop, it is one of the cheapest sources of protein that you can get. And it is one of the most efficient ways of getting your protein in on a daily basis. Now, the fifth step that you need to make this diet work to lose your first 20 pounds is to just not eat. Kind of, but not exactly. So at this point, I'm assuming that you've already heard of intermittent fasting, which is where you don't eat for a certain portion of the day and then eat for the later portion of the day starting in the evening. Well, there's a modified approach to that that's a lot better than intermittent fasting. So in traditional intermittent fasting, you just don't eat anything until 2 or 3 p.m. and just drink water. Well, that isn't the wrong way of going about fat loss, but it is certainly far from optimal. Because what you can do instead of just eating nothing and just surviving on water is have some sort of protein go into you. This is where whey protein would really come in handy. And what this is going to do is it's going to keep you from being irritable, because a lot of people, I mean, for the first 2 to 3 hours that you're not eating anything, yeah, maybe you're sharp, but after a while you just get irritable and you get twitchy and you're just thinking about food all the time. And that's not a good state of mind to be in, because that is the exact state of mind that's going to lead to binge eating. So if you can somehow get a protein shake down you during this intermittent fasting period, then that is a win. And the other thing that you can do to make intermittent fasting so much easier is to just use caffeine. Drink coffee, and that's going to suppress your appetite for as long as you're fasting. So what I do now is, after having my dinner around about 9 to 10 p.m., depending upon what the day looks like, I will not eat anything until it's p.m. So I pretty much just skip breakfast and have lunch, and I haven't counted calories in a very long time, and I'm currently in the best shape of my life. Now, if you want all of this heavy lifting of figuring out a fat loss diet that works for you and setting up workouts that are short and time efficient done for you, then you can just click the link in the description and join my Minimalist Fitness program, where I will work with you to get all of that taken care of. Otherwise, you can just watch this video where I share 25 lessons that help me lose 110 pounds. I'll see you in the next one.